how to use the power of your mind and the power of your words to create peace, power, and prosperity in your one precious life. Discover your unique purpose on our planet and how you can best serve. So now, let's learn how we can be peaceful, powerful, and prosperous.
Welcome to Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity. I'm your host today, Dr. Janet Smith-Warfield, with another amazing guest. I mean, we don't have anything except amazing guests and hosts on this show. Her name is Dr. Cynthia Clayton, and she has so many credentials that I could spend the whole show just talking about her. So I'm just going to give you a real fast overview, and then I am going to invite you in to experience Cynthia and learn whatever it is that is helpful to you from what she has to say. So here are a minuscule number of the credentials. She has a PhD in metaphysical counseling from the University of Sedona. She has a master's degree in metaphysical science from the University of Metaphysics. She's actually been connected with the New Thought movement for 44 years. She has 3 bachelor's degrees from the University of California in San Diego in metaphysical sciences, sociology, and urban and rural studies. And, you know, I'm not going to give you the rest. It would take up the whole show. So let's just invite Cynthia in and you can get a chance to experience her. Our platform is Bold Brave TV. We are live streaming on so many networks, I can't even remember them all. So welcome, Cynthia. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you.
And I warned you, I usually like to show that I'm fascinated with people and I'm fascinated with people dynamics. So obviously, when you came out of the womb, you didn't have all this knowledge and experience and all these degrees. And I'm wondering, along your own life path, were there any moments where your thinking suddenly shifted? You had an aha moment, or you got hit over the head with a 2x4 and had to decide whether you were going to take another breath and step forward or whether you were going to roll over and die? Did you have moments like that? And if so, tell us at least about one.
Well, I can actually tell you the major one. When you asked me on the show a week ago or something, I've been kind of hibernating and working on the book we'll talk about soon, and not been out in the public and not thinking about myself really. Yeah, there's the compass of hope. And so when you ask me, it's like, whoa, like, well, who am I? Because I was really just getting ready to go into a phase of asking that again. And actually, using the book is a great tool. There's so many tools in there to, like, every so often, we all need to reestablish where we are, in our mental faculties. So I had to, like, go back and think. And there was a 10-year period that was very magical and mystical. And I do actually remember the day my life turned around. It was 2006, and Oprah had just had people from The Secret on her show. And when I saw that, I thought, this is going to make a big difference on the planet. People are going to start looking at their thoughts and their feelings, which, really hasn't been our forte as a civilization. And I thought, wow. And then something began happening to me in 2007, right after I had made that realization that things are changing. And I began what I would call an ascension process. Back in 2007, they didn't really use that word much. But I just started having this reckoning. I would end up on the floor in the front room in the middle of the night, and just my ego was going through something, and it was. I knew something was happening. And then that Easter in 2007, I had a dream, more like a waking dream. And at dawn, and things happened to me on Easter since then, some Easters. Uh, but that Easter, I found myself in a room with a lot of people, but nobody was paying attention to me. And a single young man from India walked up to me and he handed me a single white rose. And he said, "This is for you if you want to pass along." And I didn't know what that was all about. So, being Sunday, I went to the Unity in Sedona and asked the minister, what did he think that was about? And, I said, "Oh, just your love very much." And a few years later, I actually found out that a single white rose is the calling card of ascended masters.
Mm.
So there were some experiences in there. Uh, but after that dream, I knew I had a marriage of 27 years, which had ended, but we were still living together and friends. I had a job, I was a librarian. I just knew I was supposed to leave everything, go live alone in the mountains. So, being in Arizona, I went to the White Mountains, the tallest mountains there. And I did live for 2 years, pretty much as a hermit. And Rumi kind of was a muse. I didn't know who Rumi was, but I started writing poetry, ecstatic poetry, love poetry to God, and would come out once in a while and read some of it. And people said, "You sound like Rumi." And I'm like, "Well, who is that?" So I did a book.
I'm sorry, it's funny.
And I do that now. Like I ask people something about Rumi, and I'm surprised they don't know who Rumi is. But anyways, so I discovered we were born on the same birthday. So that was kind of cool. But and I did publish a small book called the Being and Becoming book, which is that first year of experiences and some of my poetry. But then after those 2 years, it's like just like that. I knew I was supposed to move again. But also, uh, I had an experience about that same time where I was looking up the Light Age masters in India. I was interested in light. Uh, I went on to study everything about light body, and my master's thesis was on transforming into light body, using all the different traditions that have, that's been a part of their mystery traditions for ages. But I was just sitting on the couch and I just became frozen and just felt like there was this light around me, coming from me. It just froze me and I couldn't think. I could feel the air on my skin. But just like 7 hours, I was sitting there on the couch and I heard the phone ring, and a friend from a few counties away said, "Cindy, what's happening? I can feel you." So I don't know, I was projecting, but over that week, a few other times that also happened. I was in the hammock and just went into this state of pure now. And there again, no mind thinking. I could feel the air on my skin, my digestion. And at the end of that time, and I don't know how many hours that was, but this big golden light came like right in front of me. And I remember thinking, we are going to merge. And then the phone rang. So nobody left a message. I couldn't see who had called me. And that happened twice. After the initial 7 hours on the couch, that happened twice that week. So I knew like something's happening and I'm supposed to do something. And I did actually decide to study metaphysics then because it's like, I know there's something I'm being called to do and I need to be prepared for it. So I did begin my studies for 5 years in metaphysics then. But I moved again, this time to Oregon, to the mountains there. And my tendency was to go find 100 acres and live on the top of it alone, which I did for a few months. And then my guides said, "You need to join the world." And it's like, okay. And so I went down within a few days and I joined 3 groups. And they all actually had a heart with wings, or a heart and the planet with wings. And one was Center for Spiritual Living, one was an Ascended Master group, and the other was the Sufis who have the heart with wings. So I joined all of those groups and did stay with them. I became an ordained minister of metaphysics, but I also studied for 3 years and learned all the different religions and became a Sufi minister. You know, all of that mental stuff was very handy, and we need to work through that first. And I'd gotten the metaphysics out of the way, but then it's like my heart is still not on fire. And so to me, the Sufis kind of brought that into my life. Um, so yeah, there I was up in Oregon, and so I actually ended up buying a motorhome, traveling, speaking at different unities, CSLs, and and I did finish my PhD, which was the uh, on separation from oneness is the root cause of psychological suffering. So I read everything I could on oneness. In fact, I was house setting and alone in the snow country in Pullman, Washington, and I just kept reading everything about oneness. Uh, James Twyman has a great book of practices on oneness, and I just kept falling into this state where I didn't want to like come out and take notes and get ready to publish this and all that. It's like so I've always fought that tendency to go deep within and be helpful. And we can go maybe in the next segment, and I'll tell you how I came about to this course of writing this book. But when I was living in Oregon, I did visit my son. He was in Charleston. And so I was, speaking here and there and doing workshops. But my son said, "Mom, you are always talking to people that have already got it. You're kind of like, you know, on the way. What about everybody else?" And that really made me think. Uh, and so I came away with that, realizing that, I needed to focus more rather than trying to uplift those that are kind of already half angels, which my poetry might do that a little, but that I need to think of the masses of people. And then, of course, COVID came, and we learned what a wreck we were during COVID, but actually even before COVID. And later, I'll tell you some of the really startling statistics that put me on the path to write that book.
I can't wait to hear. You were just listening to my guest today, Dr. Cynthia Clayton. Now, she's got so many titles. I can't remember them, just like I can't remember the number of shows we're live streaming on. This is Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity. I am your host today, Dr. Janet Smith-Warfield. Our platform is Bold, Brave TV. Join us when we come back, and we'll explore some of these amazing experiences that Reverend Dr. Cynthia has had. How can these things happen? Do join us when we come back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity with my amazing guest today, Dr. Reverend Cynthia Clayton, whatever title you want to give her. We are live streaming on a whole pile of networks through the platform Bold Brave TV. So I hardly know where to start with the questions, Cynthia. However, I'm really interested because I am a wordsmith, and words separate and divide and categorize for the most part: high, low, good, bad, right, wrong, light, dark. You use the term oneness. So, can you even talk about oneness using a method or a modality which is spoken word and or written word, which takes you away from the experience of oneness? Comments? Thoughts?
So I totally agree with you. The minute we use words for anything, we are leaving the oneness. And I have meant to, maybe make a small Kindle book of my paper, my doctorate, because it would answer what you're asking. And it's interesting. So let's see. I guess in 2014, I actually did write my paper. Just before that, I remember thinking, oh, I just wish there was some way of gathering all oneness groups together. And I started a list, back in 2014 or 13, the internet wasn't quite as daunting. But, if you Google oneness, you're going to get a lot of groups that are focused on oneness. So I started doing that and not knowing what I'd do with that. But then luckily, I think it was the Shift Network. I remember Erwin Laszlo was on there, and, a lot of the current still big figures in transformation. And they started a yearly oneness summit. And it's like, whew, I don't have to worry about that so much. But oneness is like our natural state. And me as a personal being is not especially there. Oneness becomes everything. And so in the book, I talked about oneness within ourselves. We have no integration, mind, body, soul, spirit. There's no integration. We don't feel a oneness as a being. And we don't feel a oneness with people in our families. We don't feel oneness with people in our communities, in our world. We don't feel oneness with God. We don't feel oneness with the cosmos. We don't feel oneness with everyone on the planet who it's proven they are our brothers and sisters. So, so I think in choosing that for my topic, I wanted everyone to know that any suffering at all comes from when you step away and more into the I'm a person, I'm a personality, I'm a personhood. Like here's all these degrees and credentials and what I've done and been and whatever. Yes. But what I am in my core is that oneness. And there's a lot of words people use for that, as you know, infinite consciousness or God or, all that is. Uh, uh, it all has to do with creativity. But before there were any words, there was something. And so I just like in writing that, people to realize, I guess even back then, that was before I started any teaching of metaphysics, but I just wanted them to realize they have this preciousness and they need to guard it, take care of it, nurture it. But, you know, the minute we open our eyes, we've created duality. So oneness is sort of hard to grab again. So I don't know if that makes any sense.
Have we created duality the minute we open our eyes? Um, I think it depends on whether we experience an immersement in all that is, which I think is what you're referring to. It's an experience of wholeness, oneness, um, certainly no anger, shame, fear, anything like that. Uh, Maybe it's Ram Dass's Be Here Now, maybe it's T.S. Eliot's The Still Point, a phrase that was really useful to me because words can be fingers pointing at the moon. They can be guideposts, but they are not truth. They are simply, as Alfred Korzybski would say, they are maps of the territory. And there's a big difference between looking at a map of a territory. For example, let's say you're in a restaurant and you have a menu in front of you. The menu is a map to what ultimately you may be consuming and enjoying and experiencing the wonderful food in a beautiful restaurant. Or another example would be driving or looking at a map of the west coast of Florida, which is conceptual. It is either pictures or words, instructions, or a GPS that sometimes takes you around in circles instead of taking you where you want to go. That is different from the experience of driving north on I-75 and just enjoying the swaying palms, the beautiful sunsets, the bougainvillea, whatever else you are experiencing that puts at least some people into a state of, let's call it oneness. But you do have to watch out for the crazy drivers too. So while you're driving up I-75, um,
Yeah, I get where you're going. And I'm so delighted you have shared a lot of your wisdom on words, which are what are creating our thoughts and our perceptions in the book. That is a great asset. And to be fully immersed in the experience, you are in the now. So you are experiencing oneness when you stay in the now. Um, and that's quite possible. It's actually a lot of good techniques in the book for doing that. But yeah, just the word oneness is becoming a charged word, like the word God was for a while. But we do know what we're talking about. So, and with guidance, we will get put in that direction.
So, what
Um,
kind of guidance would you give people who, from your perspective, are separated from oneness, or perhaps from their own perspective, feel that they are separated because they're struggling with fear or shame or not feeling good enough or rage sometimes, which are emotions that sometimes I think separate us from oneness. Not always. I think the generalizations are so dangerous, which is, and of course, a lot of what our foundation is transforming these states. Let's call them states of consciousness that separate us from this experience of being whole and one, shifting the dynamics. For example, from rage into perhaps right action or moral or ethical conduct doesn't mean punching somebody in their face because you are experiencing rage. It means dealing with your own rage. How are you going to channel it? How are you going to master it? How are you going to use that powerful energy to shift a dynamic happening in your immediate space from this power over power under dynamic, power against dynamic, into a power with, it's really almost a dance because it's not static, it's dynamic. When you stop the motion, however, you have the Christian symbol for prayer, the Buddhist symbol for namaste. I think it's also a Hindu symbol, isn't it? And the namaste, is it both Buddhist and Hindu? I don't know.
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, they use that practice all the time in countries like India, for example. It's namaste, um, and I don't think I have the words right on this, but it's the power in me or the soul in me or perhaps the oneness in me honors the oneness in you. It's it's um it's a thank you and gratitude, and I don't know, even know what other words to stick on this right now. Maybe you have some I haven't thought of.
Well, it's a good way to begin and end any day, and even throughout the day, to give honor and respect to life, to express your love.
Including your own, including your own life.
Yes, yes, especially yes. And a lot of people have told me the last few months have been really hard on them, and I don't always, look up cosmic things, but I had noticed a few months ago the prediction that these next few months would be really hard. So I just try to let them know that we are all in that basket now, and whatever we're learning, it's a good thing. It may or may not bring us peace right away, but we need to really look at how we're thinking about things, what perspective we've chosen of what is life all about. I mean, if we're creating our reality moment by moment, then every time we are creating a picture in our mind of something or saying something or doing something, we're just kind of building up, what this uh, pinpoint of God consciousness is doing here. It's not so much like I'm doing this and I did that. I just don't believe that anymore. I think there is only one essence, life force that is doing everything. And so that doesn't get us off the hook. We have to learn a lot of hard lessons to be in line with that. But it makes things, the tough days, they'll pass. If you have this horrible day today, likely tomorrow won't be so bad. But that we're all in the same boat and consciousness is expanding itself, and we are that also expanding, is quite an adventure. And to be a part of it, it's an honor. So I
It's
don't know.
it's fun.
To
Think
be
of something that happened to me this morning. I got my hair cut for the show. Came home, picked up the mail from my mailbox, which I didn't pick up Saturday because it was too darned hot to go out there. I mean, the heat here in Florida is brutal. Picked up my mail for myself and two of my neighbors, both of whom have walkers or are in up in years. Dropped my mail off to my next door neighbor, who's 95 years old. Dropped her mail off. She told me she had a doctor's appointment in a couple of hours. She couldn't get her garage door open. I tried to get her garage door open and couldn't do it. I walk across the street, deliver the mail to an ex-Marine who also is now walking around with a walker. I said to him, "Do you know how to fix an opener on a garage door?" He says, "Well, Lane knows how to do it." Lane is the local handyman. I just saw him behind my house. So I figured, okay, I got a little time. I drove my car up to where I expected Lane to be, couldn't immediately see him, and then all of a sudden he shows up. I tell him, "Phyllis's garage door isn't working. She has a medical appointment in a couple of hours. Can you help?" He said, "Yeah, I can fix that. I'll go over right away." Now, how does this stuff happen? I mean, would you see that as being part of a oneness dynamic? And actually, I've got to stop talking now and end this segment. So, we'll go wherever this takes us when we come back. This is
synchronicity. Yeah.
Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity. My guest today, Dr. Reverend Cynthia Clayton, live streaming on a whole ton of networks that I can't remember. And the platform is Brave TV. Join us when we come back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity. I'm your host today, Dr. Janet Smith-Warfield, with my guest, Dr. Reverend, whatever title she wants to use, Cynthia Clayton, live streaming on many networks, through the platform called Brave TV. So welcome back, Cynthia. You have a, I mean, is that story I just told at the end of the last segment? Is that oneness or a group oneness, maybe, or not?
Yeah, yeah. I think synchronicity is a pure sign that you're in the flow and all minds are actually connected in one consciousness. And when you are making requests, and a lot of times when they're for other people, especially, things just go to work. Things just line up. The electromagnetic field reacts to your thoughts, and yeah, that's
And it's not only thoughts, but it's also action. With it's both thoughts and actions, but everything seems to be flowing together smoothly in kind of a dance with each person playing. If you think of people as being separate, each person playing their own role in this dynamic that's playing
yeah.
out.
And if all the roles really come from one, I don't want to call it a role. That's very narrowing. But yeah, so we're a part of that. We know, what might be the next best thing to do, whether we do it or not. A lot of times our intuition is that first little voice. And then right away, our ego personhood will say something else about, oh, no, actually, it'd be better that way or whatever. But I've learned to go back to that first voice. So that's kind of a hint.
The
But
first voice, we can play with that one too. Let's shift the focus since we don't have too much time left. We could talk about a whole bundle of things here, but let's shift it to your book. Is it launched yet, or are you about to launch it? I mean, where's the state? And just so you know, when I lift this up higher so you can see the whole thing, my loom cubes shine on it. And ooh, maybe I can do it here. So
yeah, it's
maybe
now. I did just last week get it up in paperback and ebook also. It's a beautiful hardback book, 400 pages. Everything is in there. Um, and the way I actually got the idea for the book is, remember I told you my son had said, why don't you help like most people, not just those that are kind of like already on the program? Well, so I decided to develop some courses and teach them. I decided I wanted to live on the ocean, which I never had. So I moved
we're
to Oregon,
going to it now either.
lived on the ocean. And so I taught classes such as the art and science of happiness, wellness, and success, practical metaphysics, the art of positive thinking, retrain your brain for peace. Even Oregon colleges, when I began this in 2015, we're just kind of like ready to experiment with kind of new ideas. So I developed those courses and taught them. And then when well, we don't want to get into it. My mom died after I'd been teaching for 2 years, and my dad and my ex-husband of 27 years. So I was suddenly an orphan and moved to this coast. But halfway through COVID, I did on World Unity Week watch a video, and it was bringing up statistics that had happened before COVID, such as in 2018, 67,000 college students in 100 colleges were reporting that 1 out of 5 had considered suicide. Well, by the time COVID came in 2020, it was 1 in 4 college students thinking of suicide. And back even before COVID, it was found 82% of college students suffered anxiety, 68% suffered loneliness, 63% experienced depression. And then during COVID, we started doing more statistics worldwide, and it was found our mental health is in bad shape. And it hasn't improved that much. People are not getting care that they need. So when I heard these statistics, I dropped what I was doing and said, I need to do something about this. And I knew what. And it was the courses that I had taught. Every time I taught them, I watched all the students and myself just go through this amazing transformation. You know, we kind of thought we were cruising along, we had things going pretty well, but everything comes up for you to look at, work with. You know, you're sculpting yourself, really. So I thought, wow, if only people would have access to this, it would be so helpful. I saw it just help, you know, in the colleges there. So I did begin writing the book and have included my course from the colleges. But what's really cool, I asked in a few places and I got 44 beautiful responses. I asked visionary leaders, uh, what would you say to the masses that would give them some hope, direction, help them with their stress and anxiety, give them a way to plan who they want to be in their life? And I want practices. So luckily, as you can see in 400 pages, uh, and every single one of those is precious. It's 44 different opinions. And I mean, from people that are medical doctors, social workers, poets, you know, revolutionary types. I mean, I love the book. And it's good. As I said, I was actually getting ready to kind of go through it again myself. And so just so you kind of know, I will put up on my website, which is cdclayton.com. I will put this up there. I just composed it last night. But what is in this book? The beginning is the foundation. Understand why you're unhappy, and the mental health crisis, and how unique you are, your hero's journey, your inner guru. There are so many ways that we are unique. Yes, we are all share a oneness, but in that other 0.4% that we're not sharing our DNA, there's a big variety. So we really are unique. And then there's beautiful inspiration from a lot of Barbara Marx Hubbard's uh, people. Just, you know, the power of a good question, a wake up call from your future self. So there's like the inspiration. Then we get into the tactics. And so we have metaphysics for self mastery. And oh my gosh. So we have a fire on. Who would know? I don't think it's a fire, but I'm sorry. Uh, we'll have to do this another time. My website, cdclayton.com. I will let you know. How funny. Life is like that, isn't it?
You just got hit over the head with a 2x4 that you weren't expecting.
Oh, so it's gone. See, that's how life is, isn't it?
It is. I mean, that's a perfect example of it.
There it
That's
is,
for sure.
folks. But yeah, so we have best possible self visualization exercise. Are you stuck in a why me victim consciousness? Piercing the veil of illusion, uh, automatic thoughts, the art of choosing who to be rather than what to do. Uh, we have great things that have been given to us by Marcy Shimoff on how to be happy for no reason. Just decide you want to be happy. So there's a little science behind that. Heart Math donated a wonderful chapter. And ways to love yourself. There's like 11 practices. You know, we just don't love ourselves, and that really holds us back. So that was fun.
Yeah, and as I'm listening to you, I know one of the challenges I always have, I like the word education better than teach because to me that's a drawing out rather than a didactic teaching imposed as if I'm some kind of an expert, uh, which I am and I'm not. um, but where was I going with this thought? Help me.
Something to
Um,
do with education, or I was mentioning, you know, all the different practices, breaking free from your monkey mind, There's a lot of different meditations in there, a big variety. Uh, we learn about the energy in our emotions. We learn how to work with our conscious and unconscious selves.
I know what I was going to ask you. I mean, when people are really resistant to changing, and we're probably
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
welcome back to Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity. We are talking in the background. We're dealing with system failures this morning. We're doing the best we can with what we have. My guest today, Cynthia Clayton. We'll leave off the titles at the beginning. This is Bold Brave TV, and we're live streaming on a whole pile of networks. So,
Can I read one of these comments? I really like it. From
can you
Steph,
see them? I can't see them. Go ahead.
Stephanie says, states of consciousness are like rooms of experience. We step into them and experience the fullness of that state, but we can also step out of them and choose another state by choice via awareness. So I like that, our awareness, we know where we're at. We maybe want to experience something a little different, and we just choose to. Then it's that simple. We're just stepping into a different room, but we're open for that experience. But you were asking something about how people that maybe think they already have it going, and why would they want to read this book? You're asking something like that.
Well, yeah, why would I mean, there a lot of the people I deal with are very resistant to changing because they think they know it all. They see themselves as being the huge leaders, gurus, teachers, and they think they know everything and they think it's their job. It's kind of this power over power under dynamic. It's their job to force other people to adhere to the way they see the world or the way they think. Aren't these the masses? Do you try to educate them or do you just move on to those who are open to listening?
Yeah, I think you hang out in circles, a little like I do, because we're told to hang out with people we want to be like, and we do that. And we can't just hang out with, I do some counseling, and you know, if you're just hanging out with people that are having a lot of problems, that's not personally too fulfilling. But yeah, I will only be helping people that realize that they're not perfect and that they have a lot to work on, and they're humble enough to accept
You and I
other
are not
people's
perfect
advice.
either. You and I are not perfect either.
Right. That's why I was getting ready to go through the book again.
Well, I bet you if you go through what your own words, you will get something new out of it the next time you go through it,
Yeah,
because you will be in a different state of consciousness, a different room, as Stephanie
right.
says.
Yes. Don't you notice every week, like, and people don't realize how phenomenally they're growing right now. If you look back a week, look back a year, you have done a lot of growing in that time. Everyone has. Um, but there are, there's a certain type of human. It could be called Homo universalis, like Barbara Marx Hubbard, the universal human. And we need to kind of decide what kind of humans will keep this planet going and have it grow into a new paradigm where there is equality and love and peace and joy, and more of what this planet was designed for. And whether there's some big battle going on in the cosmos, I don't know, but there's enough to deal with between here. And if
That's
we fix
exactly what I was
this,
going to say. I mean,
we get this right, we can create a new paradigm. We can create a new world. It just has to happen here first. And so the practices in this book are going to be uh, a variety. Some are very, very simple, but I don't care if you just open it up randomly, read a few pages, and try something. You're going to notice there's something going on in you, because it isn't the book, it isn't me, it isn't all of the beautiful 44 contributors. It's life itself, and it's just I just feel this is a great tool. I mean, who doesn't want to be happy? Who doesn't want to think clearly? And if people are like, oh, I am already happy and I'm already thinking clearly, it's like, I love you anyways. I love you anyway. We probably won't ask you over for dinner with people, but maybe. And I can't say their souls are not doing and being exactly where they're supposed to be.
well, they
I've
are exactly where they need to be, and they're living out their own heroes or heroines' journey, their own archetypal pattern. And boy, these things repeat over and over and over again. To me, it's fascinating once you start playing with this. And it is, in a sense, it is a play, it's a dance. And the only question each one of us can ask ourselves is, who am I, or who do I choose to be right here, right now, in this location with these people in this moment? Who do I choose to be? And I see we only have 2 minutes left, so we I need to introduce our guest for next week, and our host for next week. Actually, I can't really introduce our guest, but I can introduce our host. Thank you, Cynthia, for being here very much. I mean, just and do get her book. It's Compass of Hope, subtitle User Manual for the Human Condition. So buy it, read it, and learn. And notice the shifts in yourself. So next week, Constance DeAngelis is our hostess, and she is focusing. She's written a book, The 7 Laws of Inner Peace. She has focused on various parts of these at various times. She's going to be focusing next week on the 7th law of peace, which is freedom. Women were stymied by men regarding most types of sciences and commerce for the entire history of humankind. Within the last 5 to 8 decades, women have been on the forefront of activity. The stories of women who, sorry, I'm dealing with my cell phone here. The stories of women who complete degrees in chemistry, biology, engineering, and function in business and industry tells another story. So Constance will be interviewing a woman, she doesn't give me her name, a woman head of a chemical engineering company dealing with plastics. Background is oil and gas, and using Constance's background in sciences, and the first woman hired in the fiberglass reinforced plastics industry involved with NASA. Nose cones on missiles made from this type of plastic. So join Constance next week. I can't wait to watch that one. That one's going to be fun. This is Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity. I've been your hostess today with my guest, Cynthia Clayton. Do buy her book, Compass of Hope. Our platform here is Brave TV, live streaming on Amazon Fire, Spotify, so many networks, I can't name them all. Join Constance next week.
This has been Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity. Listen each week as 4 unique co-hosts, Dr. Janet Smith-Warfield, Duncan McClintock, Angelica Christie, and Carolyn McGee will help to bring peace, power, and prosperity into your own life. Let's create, co-create, and manifest a peaceful, powerful, prosperous planet together and forever.